Wow. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome around the globe to Kangen Water Radio, featuring the Kangen Water Health and Information International Call, where we consider, clarify, and often correct the conventional wisdom around Kangen water technology, the different machines, the science behind water types, uses, and benefits, the testing process, the maintenance and cleaning of the machines, and much, much more. We also explore a plethora of other topics as we teach, promote, and discuss the three-pronged approach to health and wellness: hydration, detoxification, and complete macro and micronutrition. I'm family physician Dr. Lisa Battle Singletary, your trusted health navigator, your virtual keto coach, and I'll be joined by my co-host and fearless leader, Mr. Terrence Hope, the Magic 6A distributor extraordinaire, and together we bring you the best of both worlds. This is call number, can you believe it, 436, and we're talking about headaches today. So let me stop my screen share here and let me click a couple of buttons there. And hey, where did Roysworth go? Okay, we're going to do that. And okay, enough buttons. I can't do any more buttons, but let me make sure that we are recording. That's the most important button. And I think I managed to hit that one. And I'm muting my phone. Listen, this has been quite the morning, but here we are. Okay. So smile, smile, smile. All right. Headaches. Now listen, I'm going to give the disclaimer right now. When we give any information on this call, we are not making medical claims. We are not saying that we know how to diagnose, prevent, treat, mitigate, cure any diseases, okay? But we're talking about headaches today because, and I had many questions about headaches, and I found a great article to share with you about headaches. Oh, I'm so glad Gloria's here, because I didn't get a chance to get the email out, but we'll just be thankful for all of those who made it here today. Okay. So let me jump to the article. And as you know, when we do the replays on YouTube, I do include the articles and resources right in the description box of the YouTube. So I have two great articles from Healthline today, and I'm going to show you my search results from PubMed. So let's start with the search results from PubMed. And remember, I always set the filters at 5 years, well, sometimes 1 year. And when you go to pubmed.gov, here it is, pubmed.gov, you can type anything into the search bar and you will get the articles, or you will get the abstracts of the research publications that are housed there at the National Library of Medicine. So I typed in headache, but I typed in review. You know, I like review articles. We're not just looking at one research article at a time, but we're looking at articles where groups of researchers have scanned and reviewed all of the articles available to them on a particular topic. And I just want to show you what they're talking about regarding headache. So any one of these articles that come up, they represent many, many, many research studies. So right off the top, headache and pregnancy. Well, I can think of a lot of ways pregnancy will give you a headache, but there are scientific research studies about the relationships between headaches and pregnancy, the causes, et cetera. Tension type headaches, narrative review of physiotherapy treatment. Now, this should let you know, yeah, there are multiple types of headaches, not just tension type. So when we say headaches, this is not a diagnosis. This is a symptom, because a headache could also be, here we go, the hypertensive headache. Now, just in these two articles, and I'm sure they're going to tease it out better in the next article I have for you, but I want you to think, we've had 3 articles here that give us 3 completely different types of headaches. The first one, hormonal. The second one, the tension type, that's musculoskeletal. The third type, hypertensive, that's vascular. So the things that can cause a headache run a huge gamut. And then when you look at each individual type of headache, there's a spectrum of severity, as well as a spectrum of exactly what is the cause of the headache. And then what happens if you get multiple causes all mixed together? Oh my goodness. So when someone comes to me with a headache, I have a lot of empathy for them. And we try to get to the bottom of the problem. So exercise headache, childhood headache, acupuncture in adult and pediatric headache. So now they're looking at different therapies. Dialysis headache, just headache after an ischemic stroke. And that's just 10 articles. And when I did the search, headache review, just in the past 5 years, there have been almost 7,000 review articles about headaches. So headache is a huge, huge problem. And the 3-pronged approach is our first way of addressing it, whatever the type of headache is. So this is the article that really made me want to, I guess, walk close to the edge, walk the line of possibly talking about a disease. But Healthline.com is a frequent source of mine. And I really like the way that it set out some of these, I like the thought process they go through. And of course, I like the title, Everything You Need to Know About Headaches. So let's dig into this article. And then I have a great article also by Healthline. I'll show you the title right now. How Your Diet Affects Migraines. Foods to avoid and foods to eat. Now we're talking about a disease, but there is a whole spectrum of migraines. So when you say one word, migraine, that means a whole lot of different things. So, but I liked that this article is evidence-based, and we do try to make some practical use from these, or we try to extract some practical principles from these articles. So everything you need to know about headaches. overview. Headache is a very common condition. Oh yeah. Causes pain and discomfort in the head, the scalp, or the neck. It's estimated that 7 in 10 people have at least one headache each year. Headaches, now I know people that would give their right arm if they only had one headache each year. So again, it's a very common, but a very distressing situation when you have one. Headaches can sometimes be mild, thankfully, but in many cases, they can cause severe pain that makes it difficult to concentrate at work and perform other daily activities. In fact, approximately 45 million Americans frequently have severe headaches that can be disabling. Luckily, most headaches can be managed with medication and lifestyle changes. Let me look at this. Okay, so this article is 2018. I suspect that number, that 45 million number, has gone up dramatically over the last 2 years. So just keep that in mind. We had a major paradigm shift in the globe in 2019, 2020, and now 2021. Okay, so primary causes versus secondary causes. And they explain that secondary causes are causes due to an underlying medical condition. So something is already going on that causes headaches. Primary cause, if you don't have the understanding of inflammation and oxidative stress and the effect that that can have on any tissues in the body, including muscle tissues, including blood vessels, including nervous tissue, then you are basically flying a little blind. But primary causes of headaches are causes that aren't related to a separate medical condition. These are the results of an underlying process in the brain. Examples of common primary headaches include migraine headaches, cluster headaches, and tension headaches. Secondary causes can be due to brain tumors or brain aneurysms. So there's something inside the brain that's growing or that's increasing in pressure. And if the skull is a hard, encased, thankfully protective I want to use a word, but it's not coming to me. But it's bony. It's bony. It's hard. It's got a few holes in it for things to pass through, but in general, there's not extra room in there. So if something is growing, such as a brain tumor, then that is definitely going to cause a headache, or an aneurysm where now they're saying a brain bleed. So an aneurysm is a blood vessel that has an outpouching or a thinning or a weakness, and that blood vessel, the wall of that blood vessel basically is like a time bomb, because at any time, especially if the pressure increases inside the blood vessel, that blood vessel can break, can rupture, and then the blood is just pumped into the brain tissue. That is never good. That is very often catastrophic. So, but that will give you an intense, horrible headache. And one of the things that we ask when people come to get evaluated for headaches is, how does this headache today compare to the worst headache you've ever had in your life? And if someone tells me that they're having the worst headache they've ever had in their lives, then they're getting a CAT scan or an MRI, because they're telling me that there could be something acute going on, and the worst thing would be an aneurysm as far as time and the pressure that we're against. Cervicogenic headaches. So when you have problems in your neck, so cervix means the neck. So the cervicogenic means it begins in the neck. So you have discs between your vertebrae, and when those discs start to degenerate, there's pressure on the spinal column, and there could be neck pain as well as headaches. Medication overuse, meningitis, so that's infectious, whether it's viral, bacterial, post-traumatic, people that are in car accidents, have had a fall. I think it was on this call when I posited the question, when you have a sudden collision, how many impacts are there on the body or even on the brain? And there is the impact of the rapid stop. So the brain hits the front part of the skull, or the front part of the brain hits the inside of the front part of the skull. Then there's the, I'm not doing it right. Okay, the first collision is the car hitting, let's say, a pole, right? And the second collision is your body hitting the steering wheel, or, the seat belt, like that. The third collision is what happens inside the skull. So when we talk about traumatic, there are a lot of ways that trauma can affect the brain and brain tissues. Sinus headaches. Ooh, I remember the last time I had one of those. Spinal headaches. If there's a leak, or if someone has had a spinal tap or a spinal block or something, that fluid, that invasion of the cerebral spinal space may not heal right away, and there could be leakage causing headache, or just the change in volume, that sudden change in volume changes the pressure inside the cerebral spinal fluid. Okay, so several different types of headaches. Tension headaches, like we said, most commonly related to the muscles. These are often described as feeling like a tight band over the head or from front to back. There's a muscle actually that goes from here, like in the eyebrow area, all the way back to the neck. And when you get tightness in that muscle, you can get quite the headache. And that is why sometimes getting a massage on your neck will help a headache, because it releases a tension that's been squeezing on the entire top of the scalp. Cluster headaches are non-throbbing headaches that cause excruciating burning pain on one side of the head or behind the eye. They usually cause the eyes to tear up and produce nasal congestion or a runny nose. These headaches can last for extended periods of time, and they can last for as long as 6 weeks. Some people get them twice a month and for days on end. And generally, men are affected more than women by cluster headaches. Migraines. Many people suffer from migraines. And this is a very simplified, very brief description, but they can cause throbbing, pounding pains, usually on one side of the head. Several different types of migraine headache exist, including chronic migraines, which occur more than 15 days a month. hemiplegic migraines really look like strokes. And there's some migraines where people will have what they call an aura, like they can tell that the migraine is coming on because they start to have different smells or visual symptoms, or even things that they will hear. And that's like the very, very beginning of a migraine coming on. So there, like I said, there are multiple types of migraines. Rebound headaches are headaches that occur after a person stops taking a medication. And so there's some medications that we definitely recommend. When I say we, I'm talking about the medical community, that you do not stop cold turkey. You don't stop them right away. You taper down off of some medications because of that. Thunderclap headaches, just like our thunderclap on the slide, appear without warning, severe, come on quickly, and is something that we really dig into when we're looking in an emergent situation. Headache versus migraines. Okay. So again, terminology, right? Different people use these different terms and they mean different, or they think they're meaning different things, but migraines are a type of headache, and they are the most severe and complex type of headache they can be. There, again, there's a spectrum of migraines. So there's a lot of great information about migraines in this article, including what triggers them, etc. So they're looking at the headaches by type, some of the symptoms that the different types of headaches cause. So if you're having a headache on both sides of the head, it's generally thought to not be a migraine. Usually we think of headaches that are on both sides of the head related more to muscle, that muscle tension that we talked about. But when you think of oxidative stress and inflammation in the body, there could be so many different variations of how headaches start, how they present, how long they last. I want to say I'm getting one now. I'm not really, but I'm empathizing with people that deal with headaches on a regular basis. So there's a section here on diagnosis, when to see the doctor. Very important when there are other symptoms that really make the headache unusual and severe, and multiple types of treatment. And interesting, headache has been an area where medicine has, I think is one of the first areas where we really embraced alternative treatments like biofeedback, cold and hot therapies, things like that. And that should give you an indication of just how bad a problem this is. If decades ago, doctors were saying, okay, nothing else is helping, let's try this, and fill in the blank of the this. Multiple drugs that can be used for headaches, but it depends on the actual diagnosis. What is the underlying cause of the headache? And then they will hopefully tailor the drug to it. But the three-pronged approach just makes sense: to hydrate, to detoxify, and to give your body the the actual proper nutrition that it needs. Oh, I just got a peek at the clock. I'm going way over. So let me refer the rest of this article to you. It does talk about natural remedies. This is a great article, right? Prevention, and we will maybe take a peek at the article on diet and migraines after Mr. Hope does his summary, and after we do some Q&A. Maybe we'll review that article. But hey, we've got our own natural remedy for all things, Mr. Terrence Hope, our fearless leader, Enagic 6A distributor extraordinaire. Mr. Hope has done so much for not just Kangen Water Nation, but for the world in really getting to the bottom of how to handle this Kangen water technology and what it really does in the body, and what's important as far as the terminology. And we just appreciate him so much for having this call, for having me on the call, and now having him on the call. I hope. Mr. Hope, are you with us today? A little. I think he's unmuted. Well, yeah, he's unmuted. But there may be some issues. I can't tell if you're talking now or not, Mr. Hope. So I will pray, cross my fingers. Let me see, I'm looking, is there any, did I get a message? All right, so I'm not sure what's going on. So what I will do is talk about some Kangen water. How about that? And I think I should have pulled this up before, but I tried organizing my PowerPoints, and I think I organized it away. Let me find it. But Mr. Hope's audio is still on. Okay, so I found a PowerPoint that I will share. And Mr. Hope, just jump in there if you can, or whenever you can. Okay. Kangen water. Change your water, change your life. And this is water that did change my life. And I'm so thankful. I mean, I heard about water being a good thing in medical school, of course, but not nearly. It was not given nearly the importance that it should have been. And definitely we did not talk about alkaline water. We did not talk about antioxidant water. We just talked about, maybe water. But you change your water, you get the right water in the right amount and use it the right way, you change your life. Okay, so this is a picture of our Kangen water machine, our primary workhorse. I don't want to say primary, our initial most popular machine, the SD501, because there are a couple of other models that are coming after the 501. And because Enagic just keeps making these better and better and better. But many people, including myself, have had 501s for over a decade. So, you know, this was such a great machine. So this machine produces multiple types of water. And when I say multiple types, I mean that as well as within the types, there are multiple types. So Kangen water, when we say Kangen water, we're talking about the drinking, the three types of water that we drink that have the pHs 8.5, 9.0, and 9.5. Those are what we call Kangen water. And so there's a button there that gives three different types or three different strengths of three different pHs of Kangen water. All right. I'm keeping my eye on the thumbnails. So maybe I need to, I'm going to hit this button, I think, to allow, I shouldn't have to do that because you're the host. And I can't answer that right now. I'll call you back. All right, so clean water. And Mr. Hope is right. I think they should have called it something else too. I think they should have called it neutral water or something like that, but they called it clean water. And this water has a pH of 7.0. It is neutral pH, so it is not considered Kangen water, although it's coming out of the Kangen machine. Kangen water is the water with the higher pHs, 8.5, 9.0, and 9.5. Acidic water is, this is amazing because when you make one type of water, you're automatically making another type because the pH concentration goes from 0 to 14 and 7 being in the middle. And so and there are two spouts on the Kangen machine. There's the large white spout, but then there's the runoff spout. And if you take whatever's coming out of this large spout, let's say 6.5, you subtract that number from 14, and that tells you what is coming out of the bottom spout. So we can make use of that because if we have the strong alkaline water coming out of the long spout, well, there's going to be strong acid water coming out of the runoff spout. And so we're doing double duty. We're collecting two great waters at the same time. And as we know, this acidic water can be used for cleaning, sterilizing. The strong alkaline water is an emulsifier. And so that can help get the waxes and the oily based pesticides off of our fruits and vegetables, et cetera, or sterilizing our poultry. Okay. So Kangen water is an electrolyzed reduced water and a molecular hydrogen water. I think I'll talk about molecular hydrogen next week. We talk about that periodically, and I think we even had a molecular hydrogen series, but I have a couple of articles that are really, really amazing as far as explaining the benefits of molecular hydrogen in the body. But this is the thing. Molecular hydrogen, now hydrogen is the smallest, lightest substance in the universe. And so it escapes and evaporates very, very quickly. So in order to take advantage of the molecular hydrogen qualities of Kangen water, you have to have one of these machines on your counter. You have to drink it fresh because that molecular hydrogen will be gone. It will still have the benefits of the electrolyzed reduced qualities of the water. But to get that extra molecular hydrogen boost, you need to have it. It's got to be fresh, 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 because the hydrogen is going to dissipate very, very quickly. Okay, electrolysis. What does that mean? Electro comes from electrons, but in this word, in this term, electro means electricity. So electricity is doing something. And what is it doing? It's lysing something. To lyse means to split apart. Now, if we think of the homophone, lysis meaning to cut, to split apart something, which we're splitting apart the water molecule. Amazing. But think about the spray Lysol. Why do they call Lysol Lysol? Because it lyses, it splits apart the coatings on bacteria and kills them. So, but it's using that term because of what it does. So electrolysis splits the water molecule with electricity. My lightning strike. Okay, it's going to happen one more time on the next slide, on 2 slides from now. But the lightning strike, when electricity hits water, amazing things happen. So this water molecule, H2O, has something called a dipole. That means the O is on the negative side and the H's are on the positive side. Even though they're balanced, their charges are balanced, it's got the same number of protons and electrons, but the electrons like to hang out with the oxygen. Oxygen is having the electron party, and the electrons kind of leave the hydrogen home alone. So the whole molecule is, the charge is balanced, but it leans to a little bit negative on the oxygen side and a little bit positive on the hydrogen side. That's part of the magic of water because of that dipole. That makes it the universal solvent because it's got this polar nature to it. That was the last sound effect. But when lightning or electricity, so it's lightning inside our Kangen machines, striking, that's harnessed, and then it strikes the water molecule, it splits it from H2O, which we saw on the previous slide, to an H plus. There, one of those hydrogens is cleaved off, and it leaves behind the OH negative. And this hydroxide ion is one of the main reasons that our water has such properties that it does. So here's a picture of the whole process. Let me, there, get that out of the way a little bit. So lightning strikes inside, right? On those, when we pass energy over those titanium plates, we pass electricity over the titanium plates. The water molecule is split into the hydroxide ion and the hydrogen ion. And these definitely are charged, not just partially charged, like this full water molecule, it's partially negative, partially positive. These are fully negative, fully positive. And when you put that negative charge in solution, it's going to attract the partial charges of the other water molecules that haven't been split, and it actually does something called restructuring of the water. So amazing things happen. But then what happens once the water is restructured? It can be attracted to the surface of the cells. It can attract toxins out of the cells because, as we know, opposites attract and same charges repel. So having that negative charge allows water to be attracted to the surface of the cell and increase the hydration with it from the interstitial fluid across this lipid bilayer, which water normally would not be able to penetrate across without channels and without assistance. And it hydrates the inner portion of the cell, the cytoplasm. So amazing, amazing. I keep saying amazing. I don't get to do this part of the talk a lot, so it's a privilege to be able to talk about some of the chemical aspects of Kangen water. And we do have great research articles. We have research resources for you in the call resources that'll be attached to the YouTube replays. But what that water does is help us to get back to homeostasis, back to our natural state by helping us to hydrate and helping us to detoxify. If you look, I mean, you see the beautiful hydration, and you see so many plants that we use to nutrify and detoxify, and how balanced the animals are in nature because of not eating the things that we've learned to eat. And they then can allow their bodies to do what our bodies are supposed to do, which is naturally heal. As Mr. Hope says, from the surface of the skin to the depths of the bone, our bodies are designed to heal. Okay, so, oh, this is my favorite. I love the fish tank, but I'm gonna stop the screen share here just for a second so I can see what's happening, if I've gotten any messages. No, not yet, but I see it's 1:43. So before we go to that last article about headaches or diet and migraine, let's see if you have any questions on or from the live audience. And I'm so thankful for those of you who are here today with us live. And so in order to ask a question, all you have to do is either in the reactions, raise your hand like Vernita has. Thank you, Vernita. Or you can type your question into the chat, or you can turn your camera on and just wave and say, I want to say something. But Vernita, thank you for joining us today. Welcome to the call.
Thank you. Is my mic off? Yes. Okay, I see now. Okay. I just been waiting to find out first if my information is correct, where I learned somewhere or read that the brain does not have feelings. And if that is the case, where does the pain occur when you have a headache?
That is a really good question. And I want to show you, let me see. Oh, I hope I can find this real quick. So we did a talk about nerve endings. About how nerves heal, right? And I showed you the structure of the nerves. And when we looked at the skin, we looked at the sensory nerves of the skin. And maybe that would be a better one for me to pull up. Give me a sec. So that picture will do. So how do we feel, right?
Okay.
Well, we need to have something that tells us something's going on. So the skin, here's the sensory innervation of the skin. So here's your skin, right? You got your hairs poking out of the skin. But you see these nerve endings here? There's a nerve ending here that looks like that. That is one type of a receptor. This is another type of receptor. This is more of a stretch receptor. This is a very close to the surface of the skin. So when you sense pain, you sense different types of pain, right? So if you just have I use the example of an eraser. I don't think people use erasers anymore. But if you took an eraser and rubbed it over your skin, you can feel the eraser. You can feel that light, that sensory stimulation, and your brain can interpret that as, okay, that's an eraser. Well, if you do it really, really light, you are stimulating these corpuscles, these nerve endings near the skin, but you might press a little more. Or if you take a cotton ball, sometimes we use a cotton ball and rub it over the skin. Well, these really superficial nerve endings will let you feel the cotton ball, right? Then a little deeper, you would feel like an eraser, but then there's some even deeper receptors that you would feel pressure deep inside the skin. So and it takes more to numb these areas, depending on if you're going to sew somebody up that's had a laceration or something. We used to take a hypodermic needle and inject anesthesia right into this area, and that would numb the nerve endings. Well, it might numb if you don't wait enough time, or if you don't get the placement right, it'll numb these superficial endings. But then when you stick the needle in to sew them up, maybe you haven't given enough time for these deeper sensory receptors to go to sleep. So, but some of your pain is or some of your receptors feel vibration, some of them feel stretching, some of them feel, but back to your question, these all send information to the brain. And when I say brain, I mean the actual brain tissue, as opposed to the, wait, how do I get out of this? Was I screen sharing just now?
Yes.
Oh, good. So I'm trying to get back to the Zoom. There we go. Whew. All right. So the brain is where those signals are interpreted, but the brain tissue itself doesn't have those. So I have a cartoon that shows people and the neurosurgeons actually did surgery where they would cut through the scalp, the skull, and the meninges, which is the covering of the brain, down into the brain tissue. And then you could stimulate the brain tissue and it would cause like a foot to move or a hand to raise, or it would cause the person to smell something or to remember something. But that is not painful. But the painful sensation comes from the covering of the brain, from the skull, and from the scalp that's covering the whole skull. It looks like Mr. Hope might be here. So did that understand? So that is correct. The brain doesn't have those types of nerve endings. So
okay, so this is the covering where the headache or actual pain is
right,
being experienced.
right.
Okay, gotcha.
And the muscles. So when I say when you say covering, there's covering. Oh, I found the picture. This is so. I just love sharing stuff. So it says, whoa, that was a good one. Try it, Hobbs. Just poke his brain right where my finger is. So that patient could be awake when they're doing that, and most likely is awake when they're doing that, but they have numbed the structures that let them get into the brain. But yeah, this part of the brain doesn't have those sensory receptors. The covering, the meninges, there are 3 layers of meninges, as well as the bone, the skull, and the gala aponeurosis is the covering that's over top the bone of the skull, and that attached to muscles and nerves, and that would cause that's where that tightness comes from. Now, Mr. Hope, I think I'm gonna see if I can ask him to unmute again. We'll see if we can get him in here. But also, I think I can find an image that shows the
welcome back.
Ooh, the dulcet tones of our fearless leader, Mr. Terrence Hope.
Mademoiselle.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank the digital world for letting me come back in. And I think you've got control of my video. It says host has not allowed me to unmute my video.
Oh, when you dipped out, I became the host. I didn't realize that. So I will make you
co-host. How?
You got the co-host power.
Praise the Lord. And welcome to the great world of the blue shirts, of Kangen water, and all around the world. Here I am. You know, this digital world we live in, and the computers that will suddenly turn off the second that you decide that you're going to do a presentation on Kangen water has a mind of its own. but I'm glad to be here. And of course, as well, glad to be here with you, Dr. Lisa Singletary, MD. And you are the wealth of information on this call that will allow us to take a deep dive into the true aspects of our health with a medical professional, as you are a board certified physician, explaining to us the details of the mechanisms of disease, the functions of the organs. Even as today we talk about the various mechanisms of headaches and what goes on with the body in that respect, and things people truly need to know. I mean, it's the simplest topic. What is a headache? Yeah, but everyone has one and has experienced it at some time or another. And more people have actually experienced them on a regular basis. But what about knowing what that is and what it's coming from? And so with that, I'm very thankful that you have given the presentation. So I'll just be brief in my summary because I know I'm coming in toward the tail end after these technical issues. But Kangen water.
Well, hold on. Let me tell you how far I got.
Okay, sure.
Because we got up to my favorite slide.
Okay.
And the Holy Spirit said, don't talk about this. You talk about stuff he needs to talk about. So you can take it from anywhere. But
if you share the slide, I will certainly take it from there then.
This is where we got to. Can you see it?
Just about. It's about to come up now.
Okay.
I was like, look at Dr. Singletary doing the Kangen water. The toxic body. Yeah. And the need to filter it out and clean it out.
Yeah, imagine.
Yes.
What would happen to these fish? I'm going to, I know, slideshow from current slide. There we go. Imagine these fish, the headache they would get if their filter was never cleaned.
Right. And of course, we see that kind of example in terrible accidents that happen in the ocean, like oil pipelines somehow being cut or damaged and flushing over an entire seashore. What that does in suffocating these fish, that certainly needs to be cleaned out. The planet at the same time is amazing, because even when it comes to these kind of oil spills, I know it was, I think BP oil had that same kind of spill in the Gulf some years ago. And now we've got another cut pipeline in the ocean of the Pacific, damaging the west coast of the United States. I mean, this country is really being battered on so many different fronts, on so many different issues, But, at the same time, while we will enact a cleanup effort as humans out there on the West Coast, and as we did the same thing down in the Gulf Coast, people don't also realize that at the end of the day, this is oil. Oil is of the planet Earth, and the planet Earth has a way of redistributing things and rebalancing itself. I believe there were some sort of organisms in the Gulf that were actually eating the oil, and its waste product was spewing out something that was harmless to the environment. So we can make our effort, which could hasten the cleanup, and at the same time, this planet will take care of itself. Someone says, well, the humans are ruining the planet. No, this planet will survive. Yeah, if it has to turn itself inside out. Now, the humans may not survive the planet's survival, at least the present ones, yeah, but it will survive. And so we talk about the need for detoxification. And when we talk about headaches, what are some of the issues? Dr. Singletary in her presentation mentioned inflammation. I did hear that. And, we've got toxic buildup that can occur. What happens when that gets to the brain and those small blood vessels in the brain, the capillaries there? It can, in fact, cause pain. And pain is, of course, caused by inflammation. Inflammation is caused by toxic buildup. Toxic buildup can be caused by, various types of pH imbalances. Alkalosis can lead to headaches. Acidosis can lead to headaches. And so we have to be conscious of these things. So we want to clean the body up. Here we're talking about antioxidant Kangen water, and we're talking about its ability to detox, to remove toxicity. Kangen water is, by definition, an electrolyzed reduced water. Electrolyzed reduced water. This is a water where electricity comes in contact with water. Very, very unique situation. Energy sources, electricity in contact with water causes water molecules to restructure and produce antioxidant ion structures. And when you drink Kangen water, you can then have an antioxidant substance that can remove toxicity from the body. We can look at the next slide. I think it's the one with the, there we go. And so we get to recognize that the body is mostly water. And the kind of water we have within the body will dictate the cell function. First, the importance of removing of toxicity. Second, the property of the water that can also be energizing to the cells. And you now have a water in Kangen that can get to your cellular level all throughout the body and remove toxicity. That's very efficient. And then it will allow the body to be at pH balance. So, you know, some people have an issue when it comes to hydration. Here it says 75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated. You know, there's a lot of people who don't drink water, and they make the argument as to why they don't drink water as to, well, they'll say they just don't like water. Of course you like water. Water is the most abundant substance on the planet Earth. Our bodies are made of, according to the slide, 70% water. Our blood is over 90% water. And your cells do not function without water. So yes, you like water. The problem is you don't like the kind of water you have had access to. And you thought that all water was the same. So you equated that to okay, this is what water's like. So if you're trying to drink tap water, mostly throughout the United States, you're going to find a water that's going to be, you know, replete with over 65,000 different types of chemical contaminants. You're not going to like that instinctively. And so you'll make the argument, right, that you don't like water. If you are drinking, I'll name them by name. That's right, I said it, Dasani. You know, if you're drinking Aquafina produced by Pepsi, those waters, in the bottling process, come out to be very, very acidic. In the 2.5 pH range, which is extremely low. I mean, you can imagine, you know, battery acid is like what? A 0. Pepsi Cola is like what? A 1.5, 1.7. And then you've got Dasani and Aquafina coming in at 2.5. The pH scale goes from 0 to 14. 7 is half of that. So anything below a 7 on that scale is considered the acidic range. And everything above a 7, from 7 to 14, is the alkaline range. So you can imagine, here's your 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And somewhere down here is the pH of the water you're drinking with Dasani and Aquafina. Very, very acidic, but you have to question as to why. Water should be about a neutral pH. Sometimes even water you find in the spring out in the wild might be in an acidic range, but your body can certainly buffer for that. But what are we doing at a 2.5? What do they do in those bottles? So it's an issue, yeah? So, you know, the kind of water you have will dictate your cell function, and you don't like water instinctively because the kind of waters you have are very toxic. Now, get yourself to some Kangen water, and you'll have a world of difference. I have seen so many cases, even relatives of mine, who say, well, you know, I don't like water. I've never drunk water. I just never liked that, just never like, and they drink Kangen water, and they will finish a quart of it in front of me and never know they did it. Yeah, hey, try this. You know, sitting there sipping it. I had one of my relatives say, wait a minute. I just drank this whole glass of water. I think I gave her like a 16-ounce glass, and then I refilled it, and she finished it. And she, I've never had this much water before in my life. How did I drink that? Well, you've got a better quality water, and now you've got a different property of water. Electrolyzed reduced water and its negative charge will help your body to absorb it better. It's said to kind of cling to your cells by negative attracting the positive in some way. But there are many elements to the water that make it antioxidant and absorbable. And so now you have a water that can be beneficial to the body. So always remember this: Kangen water has been called alkaline water, but the true term that references Kangen water is electrolyzed reduced water. And I usually have a lot of slides for this, but it's been kind of back and forth today. So, and there are many ways you can make an alkaline water, but there's only a few ways that you can actually make an electrolyzed reduced water, and you have to have an energy source. Electricity is one of the most powerful electrical sources for that. energy sources for that. So don't call Kangen water alkaline water. Call electrolyzed water so you know what that is. It's an antioxidant water that will purge your body of toxicity. And I tell you this, just very simply in a summary, most times you have a headache, a lot of times it has to do with hydration issues. You don't have enough hydration for your brain to have what it needs, but of course, the flow of the blood through the brain and relieve toxicity. Drink a large glass of water. And I highly recommend getting yourself some Kangen. It's the best water you can have. Yeah. So I'll be brief today because I know that I was gone for a long time. I could not get on the computer and get on our Kangen call today, but I'm glad to have returned to the fore. And of course, I invite questions as I see some people have questions already regarding the subject of headaches. So anyone who's on the call, go ahead, raise your hand. We'll see your hand is raised. We'll bring you into the call. We'll take your questions live. I know there's lots of questions you all have out there. I don't think you all know everything about Kangen water, although you all may have been on this call often enough to be pro champion, students now. You can all get an A, but I'm gonna give out a quiz one day. And I'm gonna pick on people. So I get you to raise your hand. But yeah, do raise your hand. Let us know you have a question. I will allow you to come onto the forum. And when you have a question, it may be something that we didn't bring to the fore already, but that we can then address, and it'll be edifying to everyone on the call. Something that we hadn't thought about that people should know. So do ask questions anytime. We'd love to have your input. Singletary, I know, close to the top.
So I had an article.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to take a peek at this so you can see what is going to be available inside the replay. How your diet affects migraines, foods to avoid and foods to eat. And like we said, migraine is one type of headache, and there are many different types of migraine. So we're using a term that people might think they know what it means, but this is talking about many, many different potential disorders or diagnoses. But here are some things in your diet that can affect your propensity maybe to get headaches. So,
is that a fact?
Caffeine. Sometimes caffeine triggers migraines, and again, different people. But people who are regular caffeine drinkers can have caffeine withdrawal headaches. And boy, you don't want to be around those people while their bodies are equilibrating. But you know what? Hydrating and detoxifying makes a lot of sense when you want to get off of caffeine, making sure that you have not only the right amount of water, but the right type of water. Aged cheese, migraines can be triggered by alcohol, processed meats. Again, we know processed meats are on the bad food list, right? And some other triggers. MSG was in the news in the 70s, right? About because my parents used to cook with accent, remember? And then they took our accent away. I was like, oh, but monosodium glutamate. I'm going to do a call about glutamate one day. What that one substance does in the body, but possible triggers: artificial sweeteners, citrus fruits. That was a new one for me. That 11% of those with migraines report citrus fruits to be a trigger. I got to talk to those people. That was a surprise. But
it may not have been the citrus fruits in and of themselves.
Right, that's my point.
A detoxification process that went on when they ate a certain fruit that helped to cleanse and maybe move toxins around, but didn't cause a toxicity.
Yeah. Like I said, I got to talk to those people. Fasting, skipping meals. Now, I'm a big proponent of intermittent fasting. However, that includes hydration, that includes complete nutrition. So with a lot of these, you can really imagine if your body doesn't have all of the minerals that it needs and all of the hydration that it needs in order to do these chemical processes to handle these potentially processed or potentially over processed foods, then we could be setting ourselves up for some problems. Here's some things of how to treat migraines. Antioxidants, anti-inflammatories that are found or that we can enhance with our diets with, we can supplement our diets with. So this article, like I said, will be in the call resources for you. Actually, I've already done the call resources. So let me just show you what's going to be there. Our contact information, the articles that I showed you, as well as our complete call topics list, our YouTube playlist. Please subscribe, and some excellent staple resources of the call, the good food, bad food list, Dr. Peter Glidden's video on the 12 bad foods, the advanced research on the health benefits of reduced water. This article, Mr. Hope references in his slide, but we found it here for you. Molecular hydrogen, one of my favorite articles about it. The disappearing male, the documentary. We have the full documentary here for you. And Dr. Vikas Sikhatmi's lecture about cancer, right? And healing. So lots and lots of goodness there for you in the replay. So, and I will include the link in my email that I send the replay of this particular call for you. So, alrighty, so I think we can, oh, did I bring that up? I didn't bring up my thank you slide. Let me do that. Because I am so thankful to all of you for joining us today. And I want to show you how to join us in the future. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We love you all. So this is Kangen Water Radio, featuring the Kangen Water Health and Information International Call. And you may know the countries of all the people that are here with us today, but we are spanning the globe. We will be here on Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. UK, 9 p.m. Dubai. I feel safe saying those right now, but times are going to be changing, and I'm going to have Mr. Hope do all of the time zone information because our clocks are going to be.
When is this time? When is this daylight saving time coming along, or whatever they call it?
I don't know. I don't know.
They should just leave the clocks alone. We know what time it is. Just let us, keep it simple.
So I'm looking at a calendar, and I'm going to guess it's November 7th. So the night of November 6th. So the call on November 6th, you will have to be ready to tell people the correct time zone changes.
I'll be ready. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Clocks go forward. No, spring forward, fall back. That night, clocks fall back.
We get an extra hour of sleep or whatever we do for an extra hour that day.
And the different countries will have to be aligned at different times. So
I'll make the adjustment.
And you always impress me when you do that. Meanwhile, you want the replay for this and our previous calls, you go to Kangen Water, you go to YouTube and search Kangen Water Radio, you'll find our channel. and just click on the channel. You'll see our playlist of the Kangen water videos. We're pushing 60. We're in the high 50s, I think, of videos on YouTube available to you, as well as, of course, the other 400 audios, which are also available to you when you hit our call topics list in the resources. Now, we thank you, Vernita, for your question today, but for those of you who had questions that you didn't field or didn't ask, you may be able to get them fielded in between calls. And how do you do that? You can call or text in the US, area code 866-526-4368. One more time, that's US toll free, 866-526-4368. Mr. Hope, you say the UK and UAE time.
Sure. In the United Kingdom, you can reach us at 0800-086-9793. That's 0800-086-9793 if you're in the UK. And we do like our customers from throughout Africa, Uganda, Nigeria, Europe to give us a call on our UK line. Just use the country code +44 800-086-9793. That's +44 800-086-9793. And if you are in Dubai or throughout the UAE, give us a ring on our Dubai phone line at 0800-018-589. That's 0800-018-589 in your country. And I know that number is a little bit unusual in Dubai, as most numbers are starting with an 05, but we are an 800 number, so it's 0800-018-589. And of course, if you want to call into us into Dubai for whatever reason that might be, use the country code of +971 800-018-589. So plenty of ways to reach us, plenty of ways to ask us questions. Go to any of our websites, kangenwaternation.com, kangenwaterdubai.com, kangenwaterlondon.co.uk. You can actually fill in the contact information there, which will be sent to us, letting us know you want us to contact you to ask you to answer questions you might have. All right. So welcome to Kangen Water Nation. See us around the world. Call us anytime. We're happy to be here for you. Dr. Singletary.
All right, I'm taking a peek. I don't see any raised hands or typed questions. So, Mr. Hope, I think we might be out of here.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. So thank
everyone,
you.
we love you. Mwah. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you Wednesday.
Hey, all right. See you then. And Dr. Singletary, you have the power this time.
I do. I know. I got my finger on the button. I'm ready to pull the trigger.
All right. Take
You
care,
ready?
everyone.
All
Yes.
right.
All right.